Welcome back to the Lawkward Chronicles. My name is Larissa, and today we are going to be discussing our book club pick for October, which is Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. So Daisy Darker is a thriller, and the synopsis is, after years of avoiding one another, Daisy Darker's entire family is assembling for Nana's 80th birthday party in Nana's crumbling Gothic house on a tiny tidal island. They're finally back together one last time, and when the tide comes in, they will be cut off from the rest of the world for 8 hours. The family arrives, each of them harboring secrets. Then at the stroke of midnight, as storm rages, Nana is found dead. An hour later, the next family member follows. Trapped on an island where someone is killing them one by one, the Darkers must reckon with their present mystery as well as the past secrets before the tide goes out and all is revealed. With a wicked wink to Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, Daisy Darker's unforgettable twists will leave readers reeling. So moving forward, there will be spoilers. This is a book club. We discuss. We chat about the spoilers, we chat about the book. So if you have not read it yet and you do not want to be spoiled, please exit out. I did a spoiler-free reading vlog. You can see some of my reactions to the book, get a little update with no spoilers on how I enjoyed the book through that. So, last warning, exit out. There will be spoilers. Okay. I have my laptop in front of me, so if you see me looking down, that is why. And I will post the link that I got these questions from, as well as the questions in the description box below. That way, if you wanted to bring them to your book club that I'm sadly not a part of, or if you wanted to answer all of them or some of them in the comments, that is completely fine with me. I would love to discuss if you have read Daisy Darker. I could definitely tell the similarities between Daisy Darker and There Were None. They did a good tribute to each other. Like, Alice Feeney did a great job with that nod to that. There was, instead of the 10 Soldiers poem, there was a different poem which listed all of the lovely people in the Darker family. Why can't I find it? Can we just take a moment? Daisy Darker's family they're horrible. They're horrible people. They're so bad. The poem was very long. So we have Daisy obviously as the main character, Trixie as the niece, Nana obviously, Frank, which is dad, Nancy, which is the mom, Rose, oldest sister, Lily, second oldest or second middle child, and then Connor, Rose's boyfriend slash all the girls' crushes. The poem that was first illustrated was very similar to just how everybody was going to die, or like the reasons for their deaths, whereas in And Then There Were None told you how people were going to die, but it didn't say the names of the people. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So you knew that people were going to die. Let's get into the questions. First question. I was born with a broken heart. That's the first thing we learn about Daisy Darker at the start of the novel. What were your first impressions of Daisy, and how did you feel about her by the end of the book? My initial impressions of Daisy were pretty much the same throughout. I didn't think she ever did it. I mean, there was like a little inkling, but because just I'm suspicious of everybody. But I didn't think that she was the instigator, even though she definitely had the most cause for murdering her whole family. But when Nana was the first to kick the bucket, like, I was like, oh, this isn't Daisy. She loved her grandma. She loved Nana, and we'll get into Nana later because what a badass, am I right? So my impressions of Daisy was she is sheltered and she's trying not to be a burden to her family because, you know, she has that broken heart. She's been in the hospital. She's unable to do a lot of stuff, so everybody kind of makes her feel like a burden, and nobody wants to include her in anything because she's at high risk. But she really wants to be included and feel seen and loved by them, but she doesn't get that from anybody but her grandma and her niece. And even then, even they like sometimes act like she's not there, you know, because she is not. But when they were younger, it was, Nancy was just awful. Just a horrible mother. Ugh. And then the two sisters, I mean, sisters do what sisters do. And I feel like the siblings in themselves, but they took it very far and very unnecessary. It made me feel really sad and bad and heartbroken, if you will, that she was unable to connect with her family and feel that support and love from them. So, second question is, pieces of blue-green glass still decorate some of the exterior walls, sparkling in the sunlight and gifting Seaglass its name. The story is set on a tiny tidal island just off the Cornish coast in an old Victorian house with a turquoise roof. Did you enjoy the setting of this novel? And I did. I thought it was very perfect for the thriller. It was both eerie and a wonder, like some whimsical elements to it, but the eroding Victorian house into the sea, as well as just the seclusion of the island, how it can be so cut off drastically for that long. It's very symbolic of how Daisy's character is throughout this whole thriller, this whole book, but she feels the most at home at this house, and that's probably why, because the house, I feel like, represents her as an individual, like trying so hard to stay upright and stay there, and she has like this childlike wonder to her, and still is trying to be supportive and be with the family and try to get together with them, but isn't able to, or is cut off from them. Who is your favorite character and why? And Nana. Nana was my favorite character. She is just so eccentric and she's loving and such a badass that gives zero fudges. And the fact that she has such a sweet tooth is concerning, very concerning, but and like some of the recipes that she makes sound atrocious, like so gross. But I just love that she does not care. She doesn't pay for her phone anymore because she was sick of people reaching out and trying to get a hold of her. She just wants to live her life and with her books and read and paint and just hang out with her dog in her mansion on the sea on a secluded island and just be away from everybody. I'm too much of an extrovert for that, but I get the sentiment. She's just so cool. She's just amazing, and the love that she has for Daisy is just so wonderful, and especially that she realized how neglected Daisy was as a child. It helped. It helped so much, and she's just wonderful. And for her and Trixie to plot this, just, I mean, it's crazy, it's psychotic, but it just shows how much love they had for Daisy, even though it was very messed up and no one should ever do that, you know? But they did it great. Like, the fact that they did that just to get back at their family because they were all after her money. Good for her. Go off, queen. The fourth question. The Darker family has gathered to celebrate Nana's 80th birthday. Beatrice Darker is an eccentric author of books for children who has stopped paying her phone bill because she doesn't want to be disturbed, as I said. She has a sweet tooth and lives in a crumbling old house with a library, a hallway full of clocks, and a dog named Poppins. What did you think of Nana? Obviously, I thought she was my favorite character, so I think she's awesome, and repeat what I said. She's just, you know, a queen, an idol. Daisy Darker's family were as dark as can be. When one of them died, all of them lied and pretended not to see. Nana liked to write poems in her books and on the chalk wall in her kitchen. What did you think of the poems about the Darker family? Phenomenal. They were creepy, but so lyrical. Also crazy how they were able to kill them off that specifically to the character and being able to kind of map that character's reactions and what their next move would be. So that takes just a lot of planning, and obviously they had been planning this for so long, which is wild. It's wild. There are a lot of references to the 1980s in Daisy Darker, especially when the family is watching old home movies. Did you enjoy the nostalgia? I thought it was such a cool way to kind of gauge how the family interacted throughout the years and leading up to what happened at that night. I thought it was such a wonderful addition to the story. It was very similar to And Then There Were None, that record player at the beginning. We don't get that anymore. We just get it at the beginning as to what the crimes were for everybody in that house. However, with this one, it was very cool. Like, just to get that flashback that everybody could see visually, because I feel like that's more truth-telling, is these are their memories. And to have all of their horrible stuff like on camera made it seem like everybody had motive, because they were just horrible people. Just the worst. And also just kind of like if there was any character development. I know Rose turned out to be a little bit nicer, but she was still so passive, and as we know, she didn't speak up when she threw Daisy off a cliff. Like, are you crazy? She just let things pass her by and didn't do anything about it, which was just, she could have redeemed herself so much, and she just didn't at all. So Nana has 80 clocks as a reminder to herself and the world that her time is her own. Time is a big theme in this book. When the tide comes in, the characters are cut off from the rest of the world for 8 hours. Did you feel the constant sense of ticking clock throughout the story? Did it inform your reading experience? I thought it was super creepy that Nana collected so many clocks. Like, that is one of the creepiest things in scary movies. I hate scary movies. I hate like scary things. I do enjoy thrillers, but yeah, clocks are so creepy. It just makes it so much more intense in the experience. So for her to have 80 of them all ticking, all going off, like, that is, oh, this would be such a great book. Like, such a great, or not, it is a book. This would be such a great movie just for how visually Alice Feeney captured everything. And it is such a visual book. So the fact that all 80 clocks are on the wall, all ticking, all going off every hour when somebody dies, yeah, you definitely felt the essence of time and how important it was. And it just kept the story moving forward, because you're always just in anticipation of the next hour, who's going to die next, because it didn't go in order. And I thought that was really a good touch, because I was expecting everybody to die off in order. So that was a nice little flair, because you didn't know. You had no clue. Alice Feeney has described this novel as her own little tribute to Agatha Christie, one of her favorite authors. Did you notice the nods to And Then There Were None? What did you think of them? Okay, I mean, I've already said it so many times, but yes, I definitely noticed the nods. If you have not read it, I would recommend it. I mean, it's very dated. It's set in, I think, it was written in 1936. Daisy Darker is definitely more updated with, I mean, updated as in like the 80s and 90s updated, like the development of cell phones, even though most people didn't have them at that time, as well as like use of the TV and the VCR and videos and stuff. And Then There Were None was set in 1930s sometime, so everything was very dated. It wouldn't be as applicable today, but definitely like the lack of cell phone reception on the island, it was a good nod to it, as well as like just the crossing off of the names is very similar to the, what was it, like the statues, the soldier statues in And Then There Were None. So every time somebody died, a statue or like a little figurine would disappear. Daisy Darker is a locked room mystery. How does it impact the tension when all of the characters are trapped together, including the possible perpetrator? Obviously tension was high. Everybody was in suspense because they didn't know who who it was. I wasn't sure who it was. I had my suspicions, which I didn't guess until the end. There was a lot of like separation of the group throughout too, so it just led to more suspicion of that individual. So like when Rose kept disappearing, Rose would disappear. I thought it was her for so long. Oh, I just remembered when Connor and Rose are talking, they're like, could Daisy be doing this? And Daisy was so offended and hurt that they would say that right in front of her. I didn't know she was there. Oh my gosh. And I mean, in a way, she wasn't haunting. She was just trying to hang out. She didn't know she was dead. Every family is a fortress that few outsiders get to see inside. Let's talk about the Darker family. Who was your least favorite character? And do all families have secrets? Yes, all families have secrets. Everybody has a secret, so definitely all families have secrets. So yeah, it's hot goss, that's for sure. And my least favorite character was Lily. Oh my gosh, she was absolutely atrocious. I despised her. She was such a horrible person inside and out. It's a result of Nancy constantly babying her and coddling her and not allowing Lily to realize that the world doesn't just hand you things. Allow her to be rejected or allow her to make mistakes. And when Lily would inevitably not get a role as an actress or something bad would happen, she would go cry to mom and mom would just coddle her and like let her know that those people didn't know what they were talking about. And she would just never try again. And then she was so insecure that she decided to take out her insecurities on her daughter, telling Trixie that she's fat and that no boy is going to love her because she's overweight, even though Trixie was a normal-sized human being, a normal-sized teenage girl. And the fact that Trixie turned out how she did astonishes me. Astonishes me. I despised Lily so much. Every time I had to read about her, I just wanted to punch her in the face. She was so mean to Daisy. Just a terrible individual when she was not the spotlight of everybody's attention. And yeah, I mean, obviously she's insecure, but that just does not give you the right to be such a terrible human being. It's always important to have adventures, even if only in your imagination. Sometimes those are the best adventures of all. Daisy enjoys reading and says that her childhood friends were Agatha Christie and Stephen King. There are recurring themes of isolation and loneliness in the book, which was written during the COVID pandemic. But is being lonely and being alone the same? And they can definitely be coinciding, especially as we saw in the pandemic during lockdown. People were living alone at that time and didn't have outside communication or like that support system. And so a lot of people obviously fell into depression, and thank goodness that a lot of people also got help through therapy. They can definitely be coinciding, but they're not the same. Being alone is, I feel like, more of a physical being, like you are physically alone, whereas being lonely is the lack of connection with others or other things and feeling that lack of support or love or, like I said, that connection from those around you. The failure of creating those connections and those deep connections, because you could be around so many people in a room full of people and feel lonely because if the conversations are superficial, if there's not that love and support from friends, you're not going to make those deep connections. And Daisy was around her family, but she never felt seen or heard or respected, which caused her to seek out the escapism of books and reading and connecting through reading, because she got to see those characters in those books at a deeper level than what her family was seeing her as. So all the illustrations in this novel are bespoke. From the Seaglass floor plan at the start to the chapter headings and Scrabble drawings included throughout, Alice Feeney has had illustrations in some of her other novels too. Have you ever seen drawings in a psychological thriller before, and did you like them? I don't think I have seen any other drawings in psychological thrillers. Definitely in like fantasy, obviously there's maps, in some other books, like romance books too, but never in really a thriller that I can recall. I do really love that she included those. I feel like it just added to the story, as well as like the floor plan was so handy. I referenced it quite a few times. It was so lovely. Because then you could actually visualize when Lily was rollerblading and when they got to lock themselves into different parts of the house and how just everything connected. I thought was super helpful. I kind of wish we would have gotten a second floor plan, like the second floor plan, just to kind of see where their bedrooms were set up. But definitely the main floor was super helpful. I enjoyed that, as well as like all the Scrabble pieces, all the title heads. It just really added to the story, which I enjoyed. Yeah, it was a fun little addition. I really liked that a lot. Don't waste your life wishing to be like someone else. Decide who you are and be you. It can be hard being a youngest child in a family, but Nana gave Daisy a lot of good advice growing up. What did you think about Rose and Lily and the sibling rivalry in the novel? As far as the rivalry between siblings, I feel like that is a very maybe common occurrence between families. I grew up with brothers and they were all closer in age and had similar interests, and I was the youngest and the only girl, so I continued to try to get included into their stuff. So I would do my best to try to fit in with them, and they would just leave me in the dust. So I get Daisy feeling left out of Lily and Rose's bond because they were a year apart, so very, very close in age. And Daisy was quite a few, like 5 years younger, I believe. With that age gap, it's difficult, even with sisters. I feel like sisters have a tendency to, I don't know, just from my friends that have sisters, they have a tendency to be vicious. I would be terrified to have a sister. It was just difficult for Daisy to connect with Rose and Lily, and the constant fighting between Rose and Lily because of Daisy scheming and doing that was just so sad, and eventually led to Lily being super jealous that Rose was dating Connor, and Connor got super drunk that night and they ended up hooking up, which is such a terrible thing to do. Lily is the worst. She is such a horrible sister. She's such a horrible person in general. Just the rivalry, I feel like, is pretty standard, but not to their extent. They were crazy mean to each other. All right, have you read any of Alice Feeney's other novels? And if so, which of her books did you enjoy best and why? The only other book I've read by Alice Feeney is Rock, Paper, Scissors, which is somewhere on my shelf. And I absolutely loved that one. That is definitely my favorite out of the two. Just because I thought the face blindness was something I had not come across. I've obviously heard of it, but it's never presented itself in such like a kind of, not debilitating, but kind of a debilitating thing, and how it can affect so many things and how somebody can scheme and lie. And it was a crazy ride, and I didn't see the plot twist in there coming. It was very eerie and creepy, and I really enjoyed it. And it was so fast paced. Like, this one was pretty fast paced, but like the chapters in Rock, Paper, Scissors were like a couple pages long. And also it was kind of a mixed media type of thing. She used letters throughout, whereas in this one she used the videos, which that's pretty cool. I really liked that she uses other medias throughout the book to connect the stories together. What was your favorite twist in the book? And let's talk about the ending. So my favorite twist is pretty much the ending, where Daisy is a ghost. But first of all, the fact that Nana and Trixie planned and schemed this whole entire thing, and for who knows how long, is crazy to me. I understand like why they did it. Nana didn't want any of them to have anything because they didn't deserve anything, and they killed her favorite grandchild instead of like bringing her back. Connor was fine until that point. He did Daisy so dirty, Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. Why would they throw her off a cliff? It's so dumb. So dumb. So dumb. Oh gosh. Okay. Anyway, the fact that Daisy didn't realize she was a ghost the whole time makes so much sense, makes everything click as to why she was being ignored by everybody and hasn't been able to talk with anybody besides Trixie for years and years. It's just wild. And she's still in her dead body. Like, she never aged. She's still in her clothes. Yeah, and we never like get a glimpse of a mirror or anything in the house, so like why would she know? I'm kind of curious as to when she forgets every time, because Trixie said that, oh, Daisy, you forget every time that you died. Like, how many times has this been? And how many times have they worked it out? And what was the way that they worked it out from? I guess I just wish I would have had a little bit more clarification on that aspect. I thought it was interesting that Daisy was still able to physically partake in the real world and not just like put her hand through things, which makes it more difficult for her to realize that she is in fact dead. Like, she's still able to interact with the physical elements around playing Scrabble with Trixie, typing on the computer, which is how she wrote this novel, which makes more sense for the agent's author's note, which when I usually skim over that, but I was like, oh, I'll read it this time because I'm like, that's interesting. And from that start, I was like, this is going to be a wild ride, and it was. So I really enjoyed that, like the clarity of how it all began from the author's agent. That was a cool little insert. It was a little eerie. It wasn't the scariest one I've ever read. Thank goodness, because I hate being scared. I hate it so much. So there was some spooky vibes to it, but all in all, I really did enjoy this book. I'm very happy that I finally got around to reading it, and there were so many tabs and just so many like good quotable things too, that again, Nana would give Daisy the advice such as, if you can't find your way back to happy, navigate to the place you know as less sad. Death is a life-changing deadline, and I'm forever in debt to everyone who helped me outstay my welcome. I do my best to pay it forward. The secret to having it all is knowing that you already do. I like that little tidbit of wisdom. Why the heart is the symbol of love. That whole spiel of how Nana breaks it down by different beliefs. I thought that was fascinating information. Good trivia question too. Like, good trivia things there. Albert Einstein once said that weak people revenge, strong people forgive, and intelligent people ignore. It was one of the few things he was wrong about. Success is the best revenge. Just a few more because my camera has overheated at least 7 times now, so that's super fun. Oh, when Rose says, when you love someone, you can't just turn it off. There isn't a switch. Even if you hate someone that you loved once, there is still a little bit of love there. Love is like the soil that hate needs in order to grow. I think it's rare in relationships to have one without the other. Sometimes when people try too hard to be more than they are, they end up being less than they were. Ain't that the truth? That is going to do it for this month's book club. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed Daisy Darker as much as I did. And if you wanted to, again, feel free to respond in the comments to the questions listed or to a few of them, or just answer them. Hopefully you answer them as we went along. Let me know what you thought about the book. Let me know what you read this month. If you have any book club recommendations, that'd be great. I'm always looking for something to read, obviously. All right, with that being said, feel free to like this video if you like the book club. This is only our 2nd episode, so we can only get better from here. So this is a little rough draft of it, if you will, the fresh start to it. And I'm excited to kind of see where we go from here. Anyway, feel free to like the video, like I said, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the videos that I post. I have been posting weekly. Thank goodness, I'm doing great. And obviously you don't want to miss the lovely book club episodes. I will be announcing the next book club, November's book club, in my monthly TBR. So if you would like to partake in that, you'll know when I do the TBR, because I don't know yet. I have no idea. with that being said, respect others, respect yourself, and do something amazing with your day. Thanks. Bye.